Okay, to start the program, can I request everyone to say sadhu?
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Panche bhikkhave ange anugrahita samma ditti cheto vimutti palacha hoti cheto vimutti palani sansacha. Panya vimukti palacha hoti panya vimukti palani sansacha. Katamehi panche ida bhikkhave samma ditti sila anugrahita cha hoti sutta anugrahita cha hoti sakacha anugrahita cha hoti samata anugrahita cha hoti vipassana anugrahita cha hoti. Sadhu. Sadhu, sadhu. Today is the last day of April and another Tuesday. We are getting ready to involve in the discussion of the Dhamma talk to start with as part of the program. So the program or the discourse we have selected is Anugrahita Sutta, or we call it supportive factors discourse, where the Blessed One is explaining or mentioning 5 factors with which we will have to support this process, this progress of going into the final fruition. And for that, the 5 factors the Blessed One recommending are, the first one is Sila Anugrahita Chavoti, which means we have got to have ethics right, morality perfected in order to walk on the path. And when I use the word perfected, that does not mean that you have got to go into extreme and then have your physical and verbal restrainment completed 100%. Perfection here means optimization. The extent to which you will have to adhere to the ethics is the basis of the path. So we discussed in the past that it is not compulsory for you to complete these things, so optimize the restrainment of physical and verbal deeds. But with whatever defilements you may have, with whatever breaking of precepts you have, you can start the path. But once you start, then if you are really practicing mindfulness, that itself will highlight your own character to yourself. So when the character is highlighted to oneself, then there is no need for anybody to come and tell to correct yourself. You are already seeing what is correct and what is wrong, what is good and what is bad. So that will give you an opportunity to support the path, to support the practice with the corrections, amendments, adjustments necessary so far as your ethical behavior is concerned, physical and verbal behavior is concerned. So that we discussed that in detail, taking about 2 days or 2.5 days or 1.5 days, I don't remember, the various facets of the morality or the virtuous behavior. And then the person who is practicing with such a background will be having a lot of things to discuss, will be having a lot of experiences, will be having lot of inner qualities coming out. So when these things are happening, not that you simply go into a jungle and hide somewhere in a cave and you keep practicing. You will have to live with the community because we are going from this known breathing, known walking to somewhere that the Blessed One mentions here, Cheto Vimutti, Panya Vimukti. So these are the wisdoms that we are walking towards. So when you walk towards those things, what basically happens is purification happens. And in the process of purifying, you will see how dirty your clothes are, how dirty your physical and mental behaviors are. So when you saw these things, when you see these things, unless you have the right explanation, right understanding of them, the practice itself becomes a headache. So therefore, the second supportive factors that the Blessed One is recommending is the listening factor, which we are doing now. From that, we will be able to create some sort of a link, create some sort of a justification of the practice and the teaching of the Blessed One. That gives us a tremendous confidence on the path, tremendous confidence in what we do. So therefore, we discuss the listening supportive factor. And both in listening supportive factor and the discussion supportive factor, the most important thing is you will be able to get some new knowledge about the path. And while practicing, when you listen to a talk, it always will uplift you. And things that you don't know, you will be able to know. And that upliftment can also be seconded and supported by your connection to the practice, connection to the experience. So that's the second benefit of having discussion and supportive factor. And not only that, the third one is it gives you an opportunity to clear whatever doubts that you might have. When we are practicing, you may see while walking, a lot of thoughts are coming. While sitting, a lot of thoughts are coming. So you may start wondering what is going on. And the discussion and the listening provides you the opportunity to ask these questions and then clear any doubts in relation to those things. I'm just taking a simple example, and like that you may have thousands and thousands of questions or suspicions, things, areas that you can't comprehend or don't understand. You will be able to clear them as well. And also, when we come to the practice, we come from different backgrounds. It may be different cultural background, it may be different religious background, it may be different ages, it may be different belief systems. So we come with all sorts of background, and those backgrounds have conditioned us to think in a particular way. And those we call our viewpoints, hardened viewpoints. So these viewpoints should get straightened when we progress in the practice. So that straightening of viewpoints can also be done by the listening and supportive factors. And finally, the last one is the intellectual entertainment that you get by listening to a talk, because Buddha's teaching is the highest knowledge that is available in the universe. So anyone who hears that will get tremendously aroused, in the sense, spiritually, and they will be tremendously energized. So during Buddha's time, it energizes so much for some people, because they have practiced in the past, to attain certain levels of enlightenment as well. So connected to our physical and mental processes. So today, this listening is it's very popular among Buddhists because of that intellectual entertainment, and most of them don't practice, but they keep listening, and that is the last advantage, last benefit we have in the discussion and listening. The summary of what we have discussed so far: Samatha Anugrahita, or the concentration factor. Concentration as a supportive factor for the progress. So, and in books, when you see it theoretically, there are two types of concentration. And concentration simply means you are able to maintain your attention to the object. And if you are able to be with your object, may it be walking, or may it be sitting, may it be breathing, may it be anything else, if you are whatever object that you take to have your attention to develop your mindfulness, and if your attention is continuously there, then that gives you concentration. And there are two types of concentration. The two types of concentration are the tranquility concentration, which we call samatha concentration or samatha samadhi. And the other one is vipassana samadhi, or the insight concentration. So in the clear difference between tranquility concentration and the insight concentration is that in tranquility, you will have one object and your attention will be maintained on that object continuously. And it is directly hitting the object, and you will not move your attention anywhere else. You will develop that skill, you will develop that ability, that you are able to keep the attention to the object that you have selected. And so when you are hooked onto object in that manner from concentration, that is called samatha samadhi or tranquility concentration. On the other hand, insight concentration means you don't specifically have any object as such. Your practice will be started with one object, but you maintain your concentration even when the object is changing on one hand, and on the other, not just the object is changing, your attention completely moves onto another object as well. If I may explain it a bit further, when I say object is changing, maybe you're observing your breath, and when you keep on observing it over time, you observe that breath is becoming subtler, extreme subtle, and then subtlest, and then it may come to a point that you don't have the perception of breath. So there, the object has changed, but your concentration has not. You have been able to maintain your awareness when the object itself is changing its face, changing its facet. And on the other hand, you are observing the breath, and suddenly you get thoughts. You start observing thoughts, and if it becomes prominent, or you're observing your thoughts, suddenly your pain becomes, unpleasant feeling becomes more prominent, you start observing that. Or you're observing your unpleasant feeling. And when you keep on observing that, gradually that reduces and it changes into pleasant feeling. You keep observing that. And all of a sudden you hear some thundering noise and it keeps going and you keep observing that noise because that becomes more prominent. So in that manner, in insight practice, either the object itself might change or object may completely move to another object. So irrespective, your attention, if your attention continues, then you are not panicking that the object is changing or object moves to another. You simply maintain your awareness, and that maintenance of awareness is called insight concentration. So the simile that my Lokohamduru gives most of the time is the Lokohamduru in the sense Chief Bhante is the target shooting as opposed to shooting in the war. When we practice or for Olympic, what we do is we practice target shooting. But when you go to the war or when you go hunting, you can't do that. Animal will not be standing for you to shoot. It may be running or it may be flying, and you should be able to shoot them. So therefore, samatha concentration or the tranquility concentration is like target shooting, shooting practice for Olympic. But whereas vipassana samadhi or the insight concentration is the real day-to-day work, it's the concentration on the field, right? So therefore, of the two concentration, we can't exactly say that one particular person should have this particular concentration. It all depends on the spiritual skill that that particular person possesses. And it's up to the teacher to see what type of spiritual assets, spiritual skills that particular person is having, and accordingly take the necessary action to uplift him if he is in samatha concentration or tranquility concentration. And this is a very important stage in the practice because although we mentioned that mindfulness is what we are developing, most of the time in the back of our mind, we have the understanding, we believe that having concentration is meditation, is the practice. If you don't have concentration, then your practice is not going. And it is not something that you purposely do, but this is the obsession that our mind has developed over time. So teacher should be in a position to tap these things, to see this, and what sort of words and tone the practitioner is using in providing his or her report. So from that, teacher will be able to identify, understand that the practitioner is having a tranquility type or the practitioner is having the insight type. So if the practitioner is having tranquility, the teacher will gradually give necessary advices, sometimes even without telling him or her, to convert him or her to the insight practice. I had an elderly lady in one of my retreats, and she is continuously coming. And when I met her, and she's practicing so well, and she's going to this blank space, and no matter how long she walks, no matter how long she sits, she will be in that blank space. And then nothing else is happening. She doesn't have anything else to do. So then I told her in that blank space, when you are there, you just keep labeling that you are in the blank space. And after 2-3 retreats, going into blank space means it's some sort of concentration. And there are various levels of concentration, and we will discuss them in a little while. When you go to that concentration, you will be hooked up. You will be overwhelmed by the attractiveness of that concentration. You will not move any further. So therefore, we have got to break it, because if you are just in a cocoon, then you will not be able to see anything outside that. So for us to have insight, we can't be in a cocoon. We should be able to see what is happening within our physical and mental process. So if the physical and mental process is locked and blocked, then you don't have that opportunity. So what I did was I asked her to label that that she is in blank space, and what I asked her to do was to keep repeating to herself in a voice, blank space, blank space, blank space. And after some time, then she started getting pain, she started getting thoughts, she started getting all sorts of other things. Then that gives me the indication that she's out of the concentration, or out of the too much concentration, and then was able to teach her awareness when these things are changing. Now she is gradually getting into the right insight type practice. So like that, it is important for us to have a report, and from the report, among many other things, teacher will see whether that particular person is samatha biased, or concentration biased, or tranquility concentration biased, or insight concentration person. So when I say samatha samadhi, or the tranquility concentration, there are 8 types basically, from the first absorption to the 8th absorption. In the first absorption, what happens is it has basically 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 factors together. The 5 factors that you have in the first absorption is you are labeling your object. If it is breath, when the in-breath is happening, you are labeling in. When out-breath is happening, you are labeling out. If it is walking, you may be labeling walking. So it may be anything. Say, for example, when the right foot is moving, you are labeling right. When the left is moving, you are labeling left. So in this manner, you will be able to have your attention to the object. So when you have your attention through the labeling to the object, then after some time, that will give you an opportunity, since your attention is with the object, that gives the practitioner an opportunity to see more details about the object. If it is breath, and he will now start seeing where he feels the breath, whether he is feeling at the entrance of the nostril, whether he is feeling it in the tummy, whether he is feeling in the chest. He will see that, and that becomes an additional information. And also he may be able to see whether he is feeling it gross, or whether he is feeling subtle breath, or whether in-breath is cold, whether in-breath is warm, out-breath is cold, out-breath is warm. So like that, he starts seeing more and more information. So we call it having information. We call it sustained thoughts. When you label, you call it applied thoughts. Applied thought means by labeling, what you do is you apply a thought. You apply a thought to the physical activity that you do. So your mind is through the verbal application brings the physical activity in line. So both the mind, verbal and the physical activity will be involved in one thing. So that is why you are able to see more information of the object that you see. So when you see more information, it may come to a point that you will be gradually having fewer and fewer thoughts. You will be gradually increasing your happiness. You will be gradually increasing your bodily comfort. So when your happiness increases, when your rapture increases, the Blessed One is saying, because of this applied thought, sustained thoughts arose. Sustained thoughts means seeing more information about the object. So that's coming as a thought, and that thought is continuing your awareness. So because of that continuation of the awareness, you call it sustained thought. And because this applied and sustained thought are taking your attention away from the sensual world, and it is not only from the sensual world, it takes your attention away from the sensual desire as well. So when the attention is taken away from the sensual world and the sensual desire, what it basically does is, it's giving you, taking away the friction that you may have from the sensual world. It takes away the friction that you may have from the sense desire. So when that friction is away, then you start feeling you are at ease. That feeling is the one that gives you happiness, is the one that gives you rapture. So therefore, with these four factors, what are the four factors? Applied thoughts, sustained thoughts, and the physical comfort, and the rapture. With those four factors, you get concentrated onto what you are doing. So therefore, it becomes, with the concentration element, there are five factors that come into the picture, which provides you the first concentration, the one-pointedness of the mind using these five factors is called the first absorption. We call it first jhana. So I'm sure you all have experienced this. This is not a hard thing. We think that getting into absorption is something that you have got to practice for years and years. Then only you will be able to come to this absorption. It is not so. If you are clever and if you have a regular practice, it is very easy for you to get to this stage. But when you get to this stage, there is nobody holding a signboard saying that you are passing first absorption or you are in first absorption. There is nothing as such. You may just continue your practice. After listening to a talk, after discussing, then only you will understand when the factors are presented. Then you will understand, oh, this is something that I have seen. This is something that I have experienced. So that's how the first concentration develops. So when it goes to the second concentration, and from there on, what happens is, now the mind has a new skill. That new skill is to identify what is better and what is worse. So far as the first absorption is concerned, you realize that having happiness, having rapture is better as opposed to being in the sensual world and in the sense desire. So because of that investigative quality that the mind will acquire, you may start seeing the unnecessary elements in the first absorption. You may start seeing the disturbances in the first absorption. You may start seeing the weaknesses or the frictions that are there in the first absorption. The friction or the weaknesses that you have in the first absorption are the applied and sustained thoughts. You will have to keep always labeling in, out, or right, left, in order to keep your attention with the object. And that is a trouble. Initially, it is fine because your mind is wandering all over the universe. Therefore, this labeling technique is extremely helpful to bring the attention to the object. But once you have done that, and when you have that ability to have the attention, then you start realizing that labeling and observing and getting information is a nonsense and it's a trouble. And you may feel dropping that and then start simply observing instead of labeling. So when you feel like that, then that is an indication that you are progressing. It is an indication that you are going into the next phase of the practice. So in the second absorption, what basically happens is you will not have applied and sustained thoughts, but instead you will have a heightened rapture, heightened pleasure, heightened happiness. And with those two, you will have increased concentration. Now your concentration must be even sharper here because you don't label, because you don't take information. Just because you don't label an information, it is not necessary that your concentration should drop. Your concentration may become even sharper because now you are doing it in a more skillful manner. Initially, if you are riding a bike, when you push bike, you will have to hold the handle tight, and then only you will ride without falling. But after you have practiced for some time, you may release both the hands, and you will be able to balance the handle without holding it. So that is what happens in the second absorption. You don't have the handle of sustained applied thoughts and sustained thoughts, or labeling and getting information. Instead, without that, you are balancing the rapture and the joy. That balancing gives you even sharper and higher concentration and satisfaction. So that's how it moves. The practice moves. Absorption moves into the second from the first. And for a practitioner to move from the second to the third, then he will have to be even sharper to see of these three factors now, which one is more troublesome. When I say these three factors, whether it's rapture, whether it is joy, or whether it is concentration that bothers you more. So when you see that, naturally, the rapture is a quality that gives you more trouble. In the sense, when you feel rapture, although it's a mental phenomena, that mental phenomena gets reflected in the physical process. So you start observing that rapture, which keeps your body unnecessarily heightened up, body unnecessarily energized, is a trouble, right? So therefore, what you do is not that you change your body, but you keep observing that. When you keep observing that, what happens is over time, you start getting disconnected with it. Initially, from the first absorption and in the second absorption, this rapture was so welcoming because you never had that in the past. But now, in the third absorption, when you keep on observing, you need a bit more peace. You don't have any sensual activity to disturb your peace. You don't have any sense desire to disturb your peace. You don't have any applied thoughts or sustained thoughts to disturb your peace. But this energization of the body, which we call rapture, is now little more troublesome. It has more friction comparatively. So the practitioner may decide to not that he decides you can't do anything by taking decisions at this stage. Well, he gradually start not giving that much significance to the rapture. Initially, it was so important and it was so soothing, but now, because it is troublesome, because it has some friction, he doesn't enjoy it. So when he doesn't enjoy, it becomes dispassionate with the rapture. When you become dispassionate with the rapture, you will be at more and more peace, right? So the entire energy that was used to generate rapture is now subsiding, and it's getting more connected, more attached to the joy, the comfort in the body. So then you will feel that you are at ease. You will be in a tremendous amount of calmness. You will be in tremendous amount of tranquility, right? So which you can experience pleasurable state of your body. And when you keep on observing this, now this is the fourth stage of absorption, and you feel so much comfort in the body. And after some time, because of the continuous observation, your passion towards this calmness also gradually reduces. And it may reduce to an extent that you don't identify yourself with it anymore. you don't identify yourself with that calmness, because that is the one which is more gross at this stage. So mind is now gradually trained into understanding the friction and gradually become disconnected or getting dispassionate with. So therefore, because of that trend, mind get disconnected with the joy as well, and it will not have anything to observe now, because you don't feel the body joy as well, physical joy as well. So when you don't feel that, what happens is your mind has become so sharp, and since the mind is so sharp, only you become dispassionate with the comfort that you have. And within those comfort, within those joyous feelings, you will observe that there are pockets where you don't have this comfort. There are instances where you are simply observing without any passion towards the comfort of the body. So when this absorption, when this observation is continuing and is able to have the awareness even when the body is not feeling, he will say that feeling the body is more, giving more friction, and not feeling the body is less friction, is having less friction. So then he will have some relationship, some affair, now not with the body, but with the feeling where you don't feel the body. So that is called feeling emptiness or feeling the space. So you don't feel the body, now you feel the place, the area where the body was. Now at this stage, you come to a situation where you lose the perception of the body. You don't feel your hands, you don't feel your legs, you don't feel your head, but you have some feeling without bodily boundaries. And some call it infinite space. You don't feel the body, but instead you feel the area where the body was. And when you have that, when you get to that stage, you will start again enjoying that space. When you keep on enjoying space, it even takes further. Attention will go to observing the space is having two parts. One is the space, and the other one is the observation of it. So when the practice is continuing, the practitioner will see space is having more friction, and observation, or the knowing that space is there, is less friction, and or least frictional area is just the awareness or the observation, but high friction area is the space. So again, because of that comparison, practitioner may gradually get disconnected with the space. He will get more and more connected with knowing. And that is called Vijñānaṁ Chāyatana, or in other words, consciousness concentration. concentration that has only the knowing. You don't have any feeling about the body. You don't have any feeling about the space or the emptiness, but you have only an awareness of feeling. That's all. There is some knowing. What knowing it is, you don't know. So when you keep observing knowing, after some time, what happens is you have your attention to knowing because there is another thing that is highlighting the knowing. The thing that highlights knowing is the unknowing. You have, when you have light, light is highlighted by the darkness. If the darkness is not there, you don't identify, you don't see light. And at the same time, because light is there, you know that there is something called darkness. So therefore, when you come to this stage, you are in knowing, but behind that knowing, on the other side of the coin, unknowing is also there. So will practitioner, when it is progressing, maybe some of you have tapped and experienced those things. Sometimes you have some feeling, not bodily, not any physical pain or joy, nothing as such, not even space, but you have some awareness, some knowing. When you have this knowing, when you keep on observing that, you may disconnected with that and have glimpses of not knowing anything. You will be knowing something, and then continuous observation of that will give you an opportunity to dig deep into knowing. When you digging deep into knowing, that you don't do it, that naturally happens when you keep observing. When you maintain your awareness of that stage, then you go to a stage or area or space called absolutely you don't know anything. So when you don't know anything, it is sort of very high concentration. It's the 7th stage of concentration. But unfortunately, this also relative. The complete unknowing is relative to knowing something. So when you continuously keep observing the unknowing, it will not happen overnight, and you may require a lot of discussion at this stage. So when the discussion happens, the teachers will usually advise, encourage the students to see when that unknowing disappears. And then if it happens again, go prepared and see how you go to unknowing. So using these techniques, the teacher will be able to guide the practitioner to go through even unknowing. So when you go through unknowing, again you come to a stage where you feel something, you know something, but it is not as gross as knowing something. It comes to a stage, there is something, you exactly can't say what it is. So in that stage, the Pali term we use is Neva Sanya Na Sanyayatana, which means neither perception nor non-perception. There is some sign, there is some perception, but you can't exactly, clearly, distinctly mention what it is. So therefore, it has the characteristic of not having perception on one hand, but you can't 100% say that you don't have perception because you feel something. So therefore, that stage is called neither perception nor non-perception stage. And that is the highest stage that you can go to in the practice. And Buddha says, before Buddha, teachers have taught this to Buddha, and he has gone to that only with the help of the object. But in insight concentration, it is not necessary to have just one object. Your continuous awareness will also take you there. So here in insight practice, object is not leading you. In insight practice, you are led by the awareness. So the significance in the difference is that in the tranquility concentration method, that is before Buddha period, when your concentration comes to this advanced level, you will have to go into a thick forest. You will have to go to a Himalayas where only monkeys can come, because you should not get disturbed with this level of practice. But in insight, when you keep your mindfulness to the fore, and when you are led by mindfulness, it is not necessary for you to move from the society, move from the community. You will learn the art of going through each and everything and maintain awareness even when you get to these stages. So that type of, when those things are happening, when this unexpected, unexplained, unknown concentrations and experiences are coming, it is important for the practitioner to support them. You should not get frightened. Some people get frightened. They start having vomitish feeling. They start having nausea. They start having goosebumps. They start sweating, and they become afraid, and all sorts of things will happen. And when those things are happening, you are not supportive. And those things happening is also natural because you are not used to it. So this is where you will have to come forward and give your report and discuss those things. Then the teacher will be able to help you. And with that help, you yourself will be able to support your own practice with your own improvements, your own progress. So I wish all of you to have such wonderful progress in the practice, and we will continue from here in the next session. Blessings of the Triple Gem.
Teruan Saranai. Thank you, Bhante. That was a really, really good talk.
Teruan Saranai.
Teruan Saranai. Thank you, Bhante.
Okay. So do we have anything to discuss?
I did, but now I don't, because you've answered everything. I swear that discourse felt like it was for me, but thank you. I really appreciate that.
Thank you.
The only thing, like, I'm really starting to fine tune where I'm at now, like with my meditation. I'm feeling like tranquility meditation, as you said, is exactly like what I'm doing, because I do tend to focus on relaxing my body a lot, which I think entails tranquility meditation. And I did just last week, I read 5 of the Theravada like high school books. They're like Theravada Buddhism high school books that Bhante Sudhila gave me. I read through those, and I did read in a section about tranquility meditation leading on to, you know, rapture or ecstasy, as you could say. So I'm assuming that I'm doing tranquility meditation, and from listening to what you said in that that talk just then, I think I have, like you were saying, there's not going to be like a road sign for the first step or anything like that. That feeling, as I've mentioned several times to you, goes up and down my spine and goes crazy. To be honest, I'm still struggling with persevering through that. I've had a few attempts and my mind just gets the better of me and just it will find a way to stop and say, look, do this next time. You can achieve this. So don't worry about it. Stop and we'll try next time. And my mind is coming up with very creative excuses and reasons for me to stop when I'm getting that sort of bliss or ecstasy or rapture, however you want to call it. I'm really looking forward to getting this retreat, this 5-day retreat, because just for the obvious reasons, I'm not going to have mobile phone and any of these hindrances. And obviously with you being there as well, I'm really going to give this a red hot crack. And if I explode and die, then so be it. But I've spent the last year battling, not necessarily battling, but just trying to get through this this really full-on feeling. And I really, really, one part of me really wants to really wants to do it. And then when it happens, my mind is just Mr. Manipulation, and it will just be like, Steve, just stop. Like, you know how to achieve this feeling, so just do it next time. And I'm getting a little sick of my mind playing games with me. So I'm just looking forward to, doing this retreat and moving on from that feeling, because, you also mentioned in that as well, like, when you start off and you label things like, say you go Anapanasati, you label the in-breath, the out-breath, etc. I've stopped doing that as well, probably I'd say 3 or 4 months ago. And I just it's more of an observation now. There is no labeling. There's no Buddho. There's no, breathe in, relax or anything. It's just literally just sitting, and I have the goodness of the observation. There's no mind going crazy. It's not trying to take a path of thinking or thought. I literally just sit there and I can feel very subtle things now. So I'm glad that you mentioned that that's progress. So I'm obviously, without the ego, I'm happy about that. But yeah, I just really want to get this ecstasy, if it's one of the stages of, I think it's the latter stages of the jhanas from what I'm, listening to. So I just want to get that out of the way and then go from there, because, in saying, having that really strong feeling and me saying that I keep stopping and it's driving me crazy. In that process, though, I have also learned some new things as well. So, for example, the not labeling thing, that's one thing. And I can sort of get to a really subtle, relaxed stage within a few minutes now, opposed to being like 10, 15 minutes. So I'm pretty happy about that as well. But yeah, I really need to do a retreat, I think.
Yeah. And from all what I hear is 2 things.
Yep.
Number one, you are coming to the retreat to give a crack, right?
So, I want to give it a good crack. Yeah.
Yeah. And don't have any objective as such.
Yeah.
You just come and sit. You just do the timetable.
Yeah.
And it's good that you have the because if you have any objective to achieve, what will happen is you will be more agitated. Oh, this is not happening, that is not happening. So why it is taking such a long time? Instead, this is another opportunity for you to do full-time practice. So you just do your normal practice, but more often than otherwise. That's all.
Yeah, I don't really have any expectations. Like I'm not going there thinking I'm going to be able to fly or have any special abilities. Like that's not my intention. I just really want to, it's the first opportunity where I can have a few days to literally to myself where there's no phones, there's no emails, you know, that to me is the first. So it's just going to be good to see how that plays out. And I don't really have expectations, Bhante. It would be good if I do get something out of it, but at the end of the day, I think just doing that 5 days, it's going to give me general improvement with my everyday meditation. It'll
Yeah.
probably extend my meditation and purify it in a few ways. So just that in itself is a good gift for me. So I'm not expecting too much, Bhante.
Good, good. And don't expect these experiences as well. If they come, let them come. Otherwise you just follow the timetable. That's all.
Yeah, yeah. But no,
Um,
that talk was really good, Bhante. That was one of the best talks I've heard. It was better than my YouTube videos. So.
Right. And the other thing is you don't try to judge your practice.
Mhm.
You don't say that it is tranquilly concentration or it is going this part, that part. Since you have heard what mindfulness is and you are practicing mindfulness. So when you do these things, we are going through all these things. So what is important is to see that we are not hooked in. So that I will see when the reports are presented. So for me, from your reports, I don't see that you are stagnating in any place, but you are doing what you should do. So there is nothing to categorize you in a particular category as such.
Okay.
Right. Great.
Teruvan Saran. Thank you, Bhante.
Do you have anything else, Alex?
I'm good for today.
Right. Good. Right. So then we can chant the stanzas. I will share it, and then with the chanting, we will be able to share the positive energies that we have generated. So can I leave it to you, Steve?
Yes, of course. May all devas share this merit which we have thus accumulated for the acquisition of all kinds of happiness and prosperity. May all other beings share this merit which we have thus accumulated for the acquisition of all kinds of happiness and prosperity. May all beings share this merit which we have thus accumulated for the acquisition of all kinds of happiness and prosperity. May all beings inhabiting space and earth, devas and nagas of mighty power, having shared this merit, long protect the dispensation. May all beings inhabiting space and earth, devas and nagas of mighty power, having shared this merit, long protect the teaching. May all beings inhabiting space and earth, devas and nagas of mighty power, having shared this merit, long protect me and others. If by deed, speech or thought, heedlessly, I have done any wrong, forgive, O Master, O Victor, greatly wise. If by deed, speech or thought, heedlessly, I have done any wrong, forgive, O Dharma, to be seen here and now, timeless. If by deed, speech or thought, heedlessly, I have done any wrong, forgive, O Sangha, practice well, the incomparable. Let this merit accrue to our departed relatives, and may they be happy. Let this merit accrue to our departed relatives, and may they be happy. Let this merit accrue to our departed relatives, and may they be happy. And by the grace of this merit that I have acquired, may I never follow the foolish, but only the wise, up to the time I attain Nibbana. By the grace of this merit that I have acquired, may I never follow the foolish, but only the wise, up to the time I attain Nibbana. By the grace of this merit that I have acquired, may I never follow the foolish, but only the wise, up to the time I attain Nibbana.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Sadhu. Teruvan Saranai. Thank you, Bhante.
Teruvan Saranai.